people generally don't want to come to you. They want you to go to them. I said, go get a portable one.
I use your example with clients. Everybody's like, oh, I'm going to build this thing on my property and do this, do this. First thing I ask them is, are your neighbors cool with it?
It's almost like a blessing in disguise because I really needed a shop badly. To be able to get one on my property was going to be very difficult.
We all have our dreams and goals and aspirations, but like sometimes those things, they don't cost $100,000.
That sometimes you just have to fall on your face and figure out what you did wrong as a business owner.
You really kept your chin up the whole entire time.
Knowing that life is short and there are goals that you want to achieve in your life, and being that my husband had these goals and aspirations, I supported him.
Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. This is your host, Steve. And today's guest is Ruben Custom Sawmill and Antonia and Matt Ruben. How you doing?
Hi.
Hello.
How about you?
Well, thank you. So I've known Matt and Antonia for maybe about 3 years, and this is Matt's second time on the podcast, and a lot has happened since, which is wild if I start to actually think about all of the stuff that you went through and kind of how it started, and I think it was kind of my fault a little bit, but so Matt and Antonio, why don't you tell everybody what do you guys do?
Yeah, so even going back to the last time on the podcast, I am still a one-man custom wood shop. So I sell kiln-dried live edge slabs. I do portable milling, and I make custom finished pieces from the products that I produce. And that really hasn't changed a whole lot. The production and the overall capabilities haven't changed, but we are currently sitting at a brand new 4,000 square foot warehouse, which is what we did where we left off last time.
Yeah, cool. And I remember when you first started. I think you might have had like maybe 3 kids at that point. Now you have 6 kids. And you, when we first started working together, you were doing this part-time, and you were like a manager at a steel foundry. Is that what it was? What were you doing when we first met?
Yeah, I was a finishing and supervisor.
Yeah. And just walk us through the process of like, you know, how did you, I remember, I mean, if folks could listen before, like you were inspired by Out of the Woods, right? And then you started going down this path and like, I guess maybe we take us to the point of like when things started to get real for your business.
Things got real really fast back in 2020 when I got my job back in kiln, and that's when I feel like I was actually in business versus just kind of like a hobby side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
But shortly after I got that kiln, I got a cease operations order from the town. And I had to get a permit to operate my business that I was starting to grow and create. So that's kind of how it started. Once I got the kiln, I was selling kiln-dried products. So that's when it became, when I realized that, you know, this could be a way bigger thing than I thought was just going to be a hobby for a long time.
And Antonia, I remember, I think I remember from the first interview that like you were the one that pushed him to keep investing in the business. Is that right?
Yeah, well, he had asked me if we should buy just a sawmill that is permanent to our property or a portable one. And I told him to go portable. I said, people generally don't want to come to you. They want you to go to them. I said, go get a portable one. It's more convenient, and you can take it anywhere, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
and then when I was looking at the kiln, I thought, well, so I brought in my husband as well, you know, should I get this kiln? And she said, well, yeah, it sounds like it's a good idea. So
So, Antonia, this is for everybody out there that's listening to this podcast, and I'm glad that you're the person that pushed him, or like, unofficially gave him the nod to be like, yeah, go ahead. Is that like we find that there's a lot of I talk to a lot of woodpreneurs, a lot, and and their spouse is usually the hinger, right? And like what's the mindset of a person, because you don't just have like an average amount of kids. You have a lot of kids, and you have a lot of responsibilities, and you have a lot of like there's a lot. You guys live a big life, right? Big lumber, big family, big house. Like there's just a lot of big car. There's a lot of big stuff happening in your house, right? And so how do you approach risk and fear, and as it relates to supporting a partner that's a woodpreneur? Like it's not a traditional job. You know what I mean? It's not. He's all on his own. Like how do you support that?
I think at the time, so I was working for the VA Medical Center in Minneapolis, so working in healthcare and knowing that life is short and there are goals that you want to achieve in your life, and being that my husband had these goals and aspirations, I just believed in what he believed in, and I just supported him. And so with the continuation, even with all the obstacles, overcoming, there's so many with any occupation that you go into or your daily life, you have to mitigate risks. And this type of occupation that he's in, there's a lot of mitigating. And it's just been more of a learning experience as his sidekick, I guess that's my answer to all of the wives out there or husbands, that that feel like their spouse wants to go into this. Is just to know that life is short and to push your spouse to go for what they want in their dreams. I'm in school full time as well, so he's trying to help me while I'm in school. So I have my own dreams and aspirations too. We both have to work with each other.
That's amazing. And my follow-up question to that is, so yes, it is, we all have our dreams and goals and aspirations, but like sometimes those things, like they don't cost $100,000. Right?
Or more.
Or more, right? Like it doesn't cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm just I really, I'm being very thoughtful. And I'm really glad that you're on the podcast too, because oftentimes we hear a lot from the woodpreneur, and they say, oh yeah, I got my partner's spouse on board or whatever. But like I truly want to understand, like you have young kids, you're taking lots of risk. I mean, we could talk about all the gnarly stuff that you went through. I mean, you and I talked one time, like separately outside of Matt. Do you remember that? And I was like, oh my God, like you guys are dealing with some real stuff that are threatening your livelihood. Like, how do you balance that all? And also too, like, how do you not like retreat? Because oftentimes people like, all right, I'm tapping out. I'm out. Like, what? Is it your upbringing? Is it like, I don't give a, whatever?
I would say yes. I've come from a very diverse culture background. And I was taught by some very strong women, that when you go for something, you don't give up. And there's no way you'll ever be able to fix an issue if you don't try to mitigate through your problems and try to, you'll get to where you want to be when you go through all that. So I was taught, especially by my stepmom, that you got to continue to fight. You got to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really, It is an incredibly risky sort of business because you're relying on natural resources that are dedicated to you. They come to you on happenstance most of the time. So getting the raw products in terms of the logs, that's always been a big risk. Can you constantly get good logs? And then on the flip side, I never thought that it would be such a political issue to be a one-man wood business in the area.
Well, I think the thing is, I think the problem is people aren't educated enough about it. Even our representatives, our local representatives they're not educated on this type of occupation.
Most people don't know that we exist or what we are.
Yeah.
There's an Agricultural Marketing Act that came out in 1946 that is supposed to protect forestry products processed on or off your property.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know that in our area, that this is a federal thing. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, you've got local politics involved and local complaints. The education out there, people they have no idea about what we do. So it's easy to just get shut down.
Yeah. So, I mean, if are you at a space where you can talk about this a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as far as I know, I don't know if there's anything else. I'll set it up. But like, I remember I hooked up Matt to do a video with Matt Cremona, and the video went a little crazy and got a few 100,000 views. And Matt became, pretty popular after that. And I remember, I think you told me you got like a job or whatever, but I think you said that your neighbor found out about it. And do you want to pick up the story from there, or did it start even before that?
I actually, because in the video I mentioned that some of the logs had come from neighboring property owners, and then at some point I had shared the link with that property owner, and it kind of as a way of saying thank you for the logs, and here's a cool video of me right next door. And within about a month's time frame after I shared the link, I got a phone call from the town supervisor saying that you might want to show up to the town board meeting tonight. You want to be here. So I went to that meeting and found out that video link was in a lawyer's letter to the town about patients.
And how his business has expanded due to him being in a business, which we love Matt Cremona and we love his wife Lindsay. Like without you and them, like he wouldn't have the opportunity to meet all of the people even outside of Minnesota. He's meeting people in different countries.
Yeah.
So it was wonderful. We're grateful for it, but it was thrown in our face.
It's supposed to be a good thing, and it's turned against us.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wild. Can I tell you that this story is going to help a lot of people? This podcast is going to help a lot of people. So tell us what ensued from there.
Yeah, so there was multiple complaints launched against the town, and all to do with us, and not just our business, but our entire property and livelihood. And they were not necessarily complaints, I would say. They were more so like attacks, either misconceptions or just straight up lies.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go through the process of, okay, we have to get code enforcement officials out there to see what's going on. I went through all that, and I thought nothing was wrong. Like I thought this was just a bunch of craziness. And it kept progressing in a bad way. That after like the first few months of going through the process, it felt like that there was no way that I was going to be able to defend myself. And I didn't have a lawyer at the time. I didn't think that I needed a lawyer because it was so
Yeah.
ridiculous. But the lies and the complaints that came from the lies and the misconceptions, they just kept repeating themselves over and over in documents. So if it's on paper like that, then you don't have a very good chance fighting.
Yeah.
Especially, yes, because she had a lawyer involved too.
So the main thing was that I had become too big. I was expanding operations on the property, which wasn't true. Really, nothing had changed from my initial permitted approval to after that video that came out. So the only thing that changed really was that we had worked together and kind of refined what I was doing to generate a little bit more revenue to get me to go full time and just tweak a few things, and that worked out really well. In fact, from the time when I quit my job up until the complaint that came in, I had an amazing run of kind of getting the business back on track and actually having enough money to help support our goal of fixing up our house, which we have mentioned.
Yeah.
So without the business being successful, and I told the town that when this complaint came through, I said, if you start my business down, this property doesn't, improve anymore because I'll have to put my money elsewhere. So it's really unfortunate that it turned out that way, in a sense that we had goals to further improve our property. On the flip side, it's almost like a blessing in disguise because I really needed a shop badly, and to be able to get one on my property was going to be very difficult.
Yeah. And how did it end up getting resolved?
You want to jump in? So we had our twins born at the end of May last year.
I think that was when I talked to Antonia, and you were like in it. Yeah.
We had moved back to our house when we told the town that we would move back to the house, and then so like 10 days later, after having the babies, that was like our final meeting of what the final decision was going to be, and they just tore us apart in that meeting and shut our business down.
I couldn't even stay through the meeting because I lost eyesight. It was like 10 days after my C-section. So I ended up leaving, and we had to go to the emergency room because I lost eyesight for like 2.5 hours. I was worried about having some sort of embolism or something was going on, but I guess my blood pressure was so high during that meeting.
Yeah. That's crazy. I'm so sorry you went through that. That's so I can't even imagine. That's so nuts.
There's so many layers to it. Sitting in this meeting, I mean, keep in mind, like, when a lot of this was happening, like the good juicy stuff, the kids and I were in a different home. We were living in an apartment because he was trying to fix our 100-year-old farmhouse. So we couldn't be in this house that needed, the septic was frozen or whatever needed to be fixed in there. We couldn't have our 4 children in there plus me. So I took the kids and moved them to Cottage Grove, and he stayed back. He actually stayed at the house and would come obviously to the apartment too, but most of his time was on the farm trying to fix it up. So it's just, I got to hear like all the crazy stuff that was going on. Like one neighbor sitting at the end of the driveway watching him as him and another friend were working in the house, to and the neighbor driving by with the phone up recording, coming out with the cell phone recording, constant like being recorded, trail cam on the tree watching over our family. Perfectly legal in the state of Minnesota to put camera on your tree and watch your neighbors. Being followed home about 8 months ago, he was followed home, and I don't know what you want to know, but like it
That's
goes to
wild.
layers and
That's
layers
really,
and
really wild. That's wild.
layers and layers to this story. And when we had to sit down during this board meeting 10 days after my twins were born, we had already been living in Denmark Township for almost 6 years. And this is the first time I heard my husband get called non-compliant. That he was always going to be non-compliant,
Trustworthy.
not trustworthy.
That doesn't make any kind of sense. That doesn't make any.
Yeah,
You
just,
guys are the nicest people in the
you know,
world. Like,
he was told when he lost his
Mhm.
COC, or certificate of compliance, that sometimes you just have to fall on your face and figure out what you did wrong as a business owner.
This is in front of the intent.
We were told that. Sorry,
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say, I bet you these people aren't even business owners. Some are,
Some are.
yeah.
Yeah, they
That's
are.
so
They were.
wild. That's
Yeah.
so crazy. Wow.
We were told here's another good one. We were told if it were me, I would have delivered flowers to her door
Wow.
or her
Yeah.
door.
Wow. So as a result, because I remember that, like you somehow still managed to just keep the lights on and busy, and like although it wasn't the easiest time, but you just still managed to hustle and put food on the plate, and you didn't give up. And how many months after was it that? Oh, but then during that time you decided to run for office yourself, right?
Yeah. There's a little bit of a story behind it. So after what happened to us happened, I had already had in my mind that I was going to run for town board. The reason was not necessarily because of what happened to us, but we had tried to get a burning permit earlier on in the year, and I had talked to the former clerk of the town, and we just got to talking about that. And, she said, we need some fresh blood on the town board. And so I kind of chuckled, and then my friend who was with me said, "Yeah, you should go for it." And I had that in my mind. So this is right after the complaint came out, and then one of my customers, after, not just after what we went through, but like during what we went through, he said, "You're gonna have to get out and do some politicking." And I remember telling him, I said, "I hate fucking politics."
I hate it too. Yeah, it's the worst. Yeah.
And so anyways, I kind of changed my mind, and then decided that maybe I should run for town board. I think it would be a good thing for me personally, but also thinking about some of the coaching sessions that you've gone through with people and myself. You want to be involved in your community, right? And you want to be well known and respected, and that can only help you in business too. So those were kind of all the factors that came into play. And so on the last day that you could sign up for getting on the ballot, I signed up, and then won the seat.
I don't think you just won. I remember looking. You texted me the results. I think you slaughtered everybody.
There wasn't too many people that were going for it. The other guy that I was up against, he's actually a friend in town, and beat him by a few hundred votes, which is a big
In a small town. Yeah, that's it. That's a.
Yeah. Am I allowed to say that? Am I allowed to say that?
Say what?
He went up against two people, and there were two additional seats that were open other than those seats that he went for. Those two other seats had nobody up against them. They automatically got those seats. So Matt, for some reason, was put up against his friend, and then there was one more write-in. One more that happened to be a friend of one of the supervisors on the board that you just had to write that person's name in. And that was like going on behind our backs last minute. We find out from neighboring properties that they were being told to vote for so and so under the radar for
Yeah.
like weeks. So he won by a landslide.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's I don't know. You know, the thing I remember, we would check in, you know, every couple months, and you know, obviously we had worked together, and one of the things that I don't know, the people that I work with, if I get to know you and like you, I'm just like a big sucker for just people that work hard and want to provide for their family, do good work. And so I don't know, I personally felt connected to you guys, and I felt like all of this stuff that you were going through, I felt a lot of empathy for, and you know, not for anything, to just made myself available to help strategize with you, just because like I'm like, I genuinely hate to see people go through bad stuff, you know, especially with the young family. I mean, our kids are around the same age, but one of the things that I remember was, maybe it was behind the scenes, but you really kept your chin up the whole entire time. Matt,
Yeah.
you literally kept your chin up. I don't know, maybe you're crying in bed at night, but like I was like, man, you held it together. Like the amount of stuff that you went through and the amount of pressure that you had on your plate would have crushed most people.
Yeah.
Crushed them. I mean, listen, I want to give you props. This is props. You are incredibly strong, admirable role model in the Woodpreneur community. Like, I use you and this example that everybody has now listened to. There's probably be like 30,000 people listening to this story. Is that like, I use your example with clients. Like, everybody's like, oh, I'm going to build this thing on my property and do this. First thing I ask them is, are your neighbors cool with it? Is your town cool with it? Everybody wants to build this. I want to build this business in my garage, in my yard. And like, no. You were like, no. You're like, you literally, Matt, were forced to expand what you thought was possible in your life and in your business. This was like an example of it. And you came out and emerged much stronger as a result. But like, I had a client, I didn't even tell you, they went through a similar thing. They started to get like shut down. They couldn't put Google reviews. If they did, like, they got reported. You know what they had to do? Dude, they moved states. They moved states because of a neighbor. I told them, I was like, listen, I have a client, Matt. I was like, he went through this crazy thing. So I was like, I forced them to think bigger for their life. And as a result of it, they're doing really good numbers, but they had to move. And I think, so anyway, to go back to, I was like, man, Matt, you, yeah, it would have crushed most people. Most people would like crumble. And so what does the business look like today? Like today, what does it like? Is it pretty much the same? Like, how much have you grown? Where do you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, in terms of my production capabilities, in terms of producing lumber, that hasn't changed since, you know, I don't have any more drying capacity. I still do the same amount of portable milling. What's really, really driving the business right now is what we guided towards was doing the custom pieces and just trying to get those sort of clients, because I can take a piece of wood to a higher value. In addition to that, what kind of the niche market really is what I'm trying to focus on now is the whole treated table concept with not just homeowners, but then business owners and developers. And right now, I'm working through my largest order with a property developer, which has been really the saving grace to kind of help us get through all the muck that we went through. So that was a big order, and it's guaranteed work. So that's kind of where I'm trying to focus right now. I am trying to figure out how I can get more drying capacity with either a second kiln or just a bigger kiln. But like in terms of the general production of processing lumber, that has never changed since 3 years ago when I got the iDry. So what the new space that I'm in also allows me to take on more of a consignment deal where people that might have wood I can sell for them.
So you have retail capacity?
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I have 2 different contacts that I've been starting to work with at that, which has been helpful. So I guess that's where it's at right now. It still hasn't grown very much. There's been so many different roadblocks that right now the challenge is getting the business just back on track, getting inventory. The bigger challenge is figuring out I have to do that, and then I also have to figure out how to actually.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. What were you going to say, Antonia?
We wanted to sell the portable mill not too long ago when we were going through like what should we do, how are we gonna. He was just thinking about ways to like survive, and I said, do not take away from your brand. Your brand, just put it off as a portable mill. Keep that brand because that's who you are. And that's one of the busiest things you get is portable milling jobs.
Yeah, because it's portable, that saved me multiple times. I've had 3 cease operations order put on my business. In 2 of those occasions, I was able to just go out and portable mill and kind of keep things afloat.
Yeah, that's great. So what was it? Maybe for those that hadn't listened to the first podcast, like what was it like being in the mentorship program?
Mentorship program. It was so helpful just to get the inside perspective of other people and certainly they all at different stages of their business. And then just have like the accountability to get out through, not just to meet the other folks that can help along the way. So I almost feel like I need to go through another mentorship program to actually grow. I keep coming back to that, actually grow, because we've been stuck in a rut, it seems like, for the last 2+ years. It's like, what do we do next? It's really going to be a big thing.
For sure. And what for those that have never been personally coached and mentored by me, what is it like to be coached and mentored by me?
You genuinely care about people and their families and their business. That's the big thing. You want people to succeed. What? So
awesome.
You check them.
Yeah.
You check in with me, and you check in with him. I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, thank you. I like I said, I'm a big because I am an entrepreneur and I have a young family. I understand the challenges that come with it, and so like you need to show up and be there for your family. And oftentimes I never had anybody to like check in on me as I was growing my business. So for me, I'm like, the people that work with me, if you've invested in me and in my time and my services, like I want you to succeed. I feel committed to that. Okay, so let's talk about how to grow. Tell me, like, what's something that you want to work through that how can we help you get to the next level? What do you think that is? What, like, any challenges that you want to talk about or get consulting on?
I think just going back to more of the custom pieces, and I'm just kind of on the fence on become more of a furniture brand versus custom wood producer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on the fence about that. I guess you probably have a lot of insight on what people are successful with the similar sort of setup and operation and employees as like a one man or two man shop, something like
Yeah.
that. So kind of wondering what you've been seeing out
Yeah.
there.
So, you know, I think right now you need to move into a space like, now that I understand Antonia's mindset, I think you need to move into a space where you can focus on what you truly love to do, and go all in on that. But at this, and I think you like building furniture, correct?
Yeah. If I have,
Yeah, if you have good wood. So one of the things that I would do is I would hire another sawyer. I would hire a sawyer. I would train somebody to like run the mills, to cut lumber, to do portable jobs, like literally hire them. Go on your Facebook or your community groups and just get into a space where like I'm hiring, and just bring on somebody, because you don't have a lot of time. And so if you're going to focus on anything, it's going to be your highest value income producing activities. That's what you have to do. You have 6 kids, you got a wife, you got a business, and so I think your time is best spent on marketing, developing relationships, and building these custom pieces so you could sell tables for 5, 10, 15 grand, and networking with these developers. But at the same time, your mill makes you money. And so for you is I would hire an assistant to go on jobs with you, on portable milling jobs, and document the whole entire process. Have them say, this is how I would mill. And then that same person, their next responsibility is to know how to load and unload the kiln. And so you've been doing it solo by yourself. Now you need another person so that you can go out and sell more stuff. You need to sell more tables. And so you know what you can do by yourself. You know what you can produce at your highest form. If you have another half person or another person doing it, think about how much your income could produce. A lot of times too, what I'm concerned about for you, and knock on wood, pray to God, you stay healthy. That's what I want. I want you to stay healthy. Make sure that you don't need to answer this. Make sure that you got all of the things set up in your family, the disability, the life, the this. You can't, Matt, needs to you can't be out there doing everything yourself. You have to hire another person. You have to hire another person. Make it a goal by the end of the year that you need a sawyer, somebody that you can trust, that is trustworthy. Put together a nice compensation package. Market the crap that you're growing your portable milling operation. They're using your stuff and you're growing. That's what I would do, because it's safer for you to make tables. It's safer. It's easier. You make a lot of money when you make tables. And then when they're milling, either your logs or somebody else's logs, they're pulling out the beautiful slabs that you can sell for tables. So you're not even thinking about it. You should completely entrust them to load and unload the kiln. They know how to do everything. They are, first they start as a sawmill assistant, then they get to head sawyer, then they're head of sawmill operations. That's the role. And then as you continue to grow there, then they hire the sawmill assistant. The sawmill assistant becomes a head sawyer. And then now you have 2.5 people. You know what you can produce. Again, I'm going to repeat this. You know what you can do by yourself. You know, if you have another 2 people, it's going to put you in a better position politically, because now you're creating jobs. Now you're employing people. You're using your leadership skills. you can have like a proper ribbon cutting, but now that you have like a more employees, right? You can hire, like, use a bunch of ninja marketing techniques to like promote you as like turning around tree to table. I'm saving these trees. Like, that becomes your mission. Like, you're on the town board, you're a family man, you're saving trees, you're employing people. Who's going to hate on you for that?
Somebody. Well, we'll definitely want to get there. That sounds like a good.
You know what I mean? Like, and the next role that I would probably do is have a Matt Ruben personal brand Facebook page beyond Ruben Custom Sawmill. And then you just get a bunch of people to like you, bunch of people to like you. Just build your personal brand, I'll give you the personal branding course. You build your personal brand, build so much so that you don't even have to be the most popular leadership person in your area. You'll be by default by doing it. Light always, like, how do I say this? Good wins. Negativity is pervasive, but good wins. You have enough of a network, and there's a lot of people in your town know you, but the Sawmill community, whether you know it or not, the Woodpreneur community, the people, everybody kind of looks up to you. And I think you need to lean into that more. I had a conversation with somebody who's like, somehow God, universe, whatever you believe is, puts us in these positions. God wouldn't put you in these positions if he didn't think that you were ready for them. And so for me, I look at this, and maybe even this conversation, as like your resurrection. Your resurrection to like truly stepping up and being a leader. Like, you were an unwilling, reluctant hero. Like, the crown is for the taking. Snatch it and go and build it. Just go. Forget all those haters. You're younger, you're smarter, you're sharper. You know me, so you know I'm going to help you win. You got a Sawmill community from all over the world. You know influential people like Matt Cremona. Like, come on, man. Go and snatch your crown. Become literally the biggest person in your county. That's the goal. That's the position. I laid out a personal branding framework that you can take your business to $1 million right then and there. And you know that other conversation that we had before. Remember that other conversation about that guy? Remember that guy? We don't need to say it on the thing. Remember that guy? Right? He's part of the equation too. Is that cool? Is that helpful?
Yeah.
You forgot Lindsay with Matt Cremona. I had to go back a little.
What do you mean?
I love Lindsay Cremona. She helps him.
She helps who?
She helps
Oh,
Matt
she helps.
Cremona. She's a really good person for him. Like, she helps him with
Yeah.
I had to call her out for that. Just in case they watch.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, well, behind every successful entrepreneur is a very supportive spouse. I mean, mine is named Ashley. So, you know, Matt has Lindsay. Yeah. This Matt has Antonia. I got an Ashley. So yeah, I mean, my wife pushes me. So, anyway, dude, thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm rooting for you. I'm proud of you. I'm super proud of you, man. Tell everybody how they can get in touch. What's your website?
The website is RubenCustomSawmill.com.
Yep.
And Instagram also Ruben Custom Sawmill, based on Ruben Custom Sawmill.
Awesome.
So.
thank you so much, Antonia and Matt. I look forward to to keeping in touch and seeing what you guys build from here. All right.
Nice
Good
to see you again.
good to
and
see you
talk to
too.